the visitation.
Okay, we're going to call to order the special meeting. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Augie, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Lawton.
Here.
Ludington.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Ellis.
Here.
Farnham.
Here.
Voigt.
Here. Okay, the purpose of this meeting is for three things. A moratorium for wind ordinance, moratorium for solar ordinance, and finally discussion and possible action on courthouse elevator renovation. So we'll take the first one. Oh, we need to offer public comment. Is there anybody who wishes to make a public comment? We don't see anybody, so we'll move on. If somebody else comes in, we'll ask them. Oh, Matt, do you have public comment?
How you doing?
All right.
Thank you. Where's the carpet you need on?
Okay, the first one is wind ordinance moratorium. But I mean, the explanation for the solar is the same, so Lisa?
I suggested that we go ahead and do a moratorium. I've received a couple of calls from landowners, one for a little more information. I haven't received any from wind companies, but I just felt like we should probably go ahead and do a moratorium on both of those, coming up quite close to the point where we have to have it done according to the new law, to give me time to update the wind ordinance like we have talked about, to give it some of the same or similar language to that we had in the solar ordinance. So,
Just to review that, we have to take action, final action on that, which would lift the moratorium by the 27th. So we're looking at the
May
studies.
27th.
27th, I can't read.
Right, May 27th.
Right, May 27th. What did I
That's
say?
the,
120 days from the day it was passed or signed.
to make the changes that the state legislature made.
And
we-
anything else that we want to do that does not,
So
conflict.
that has to be done by May 27th.
yes,
And how long will this moratorium last?
Till that.
Till that date,
Till-
close as we can.
okay.
And so on the 22nd, we had a study session of May. So we thought we would make that a special meeting and take care of the changes so it would go into effect immediately. So, does anybody, we just don't want, we don't have it done yet, and so we just thought it best, rather than receiving applications that may not be correct. Okay?
You're on that committee with her, aren't you?
Nobody can come in and do anything or make any applications.
So a motion to place a moratorium on wind ordinance wind ordinance as it relates to applications. And Russ moves, second, Andy seconds. And I guess we should put in the motion something to effect until action is taken. Okay, we gotta have a time limit, we can't have it, what do you suggest? Augie, do you have some verbiage? In other words, we gotta put a moratorium on until we update the ordinance, how's that?
Right, right. And I assume either we'll be ready at a regular meeting, or like you said, at the study session after that.
Right, and I plan on being out of the country to Scotland with 1T during our regular May County Board meeting.
That's why we picked the 22nd.
Oh, okay,
All right.
okay.
Are you coming back?
Probably because I'll
Is there
have
anything
to.
in the ordinance, like they got that turbine up somewhere where it's falling down? Is
Yes.
there anything in the ordinance if
Yeah,
something happens like that to get rid of it? Or what-
yeah, I
what
believe
is it?
so. It has to be functional within a certain amount of time, or they have to be operational and can only be down for a certain amount of time.
What what they're gonna do with the one that's falling down, I mean,
Well,
do that.
we'll deal with that in our ordinance. I don't know what they're gonna do up
I
there.
just wondered,
$1 million.
yeah,
That was in Ford County.
yeah.
Okay, all those in, oh, I'm sorry, would you call the roll?
Okay. Lawton,
Yes.
Ludington.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Brunner.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
And Farnum.
Yes.
Okay, that does carry, thank you. Then the next one would be the solar ordinance. Motion would be the same, so, except it's for solar. Russ moves. Andy seconds. Call the roll.
Okay. Lawton,
Yes.
Ludington.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Brunner.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
And Farnum.
Yes.
That does carry, so those moratoriums are in effect. Next and final item is discussion and action on courthouse renovation. We may not be able to decide it today, but we need to talk about it. The architects in our construction management firm would like to know, so they can proceed, we need to make a selection on what direction we want to take. The three are to replace elevator, or four, sorry, is to replace elevator incoming, just to make it functional where it is. The second is to enlarge existing shaft and new elevator. The third is elevator, no stairs in place of offices, a rotunda to original. And the last one is elevator exterior. So they would like to have a direction on how we're gonna proceed, because they don't wanna draw up a bunch of stuff and then not have it be where what we're gonna be doing. So I throw it open for discussion.
I have a question. Is there a great need to enlarge the existing shaft and put in a new elevator?
It can be done without doing that. It would
meets
be,
codes.
pardon?
It meets code the way it is.
Yeah, it does.
And didn't I hear conversation that you can get like an emergency gurney in there?
You can stand them up, you can't lay somebody down.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah, you're right.
So that's the biggest issue would be in case of emergency needing something bigger to deal
Well,
with
the
that.
biggest issue, let me give you the vote of the committee. It was 2 for keeping it where it's at, doing just 1 for outside and 1 for inside and redo the rotunda. Okay? So that's where we're at.
Well, I don't, I mean, I don't wanna, I don't think we need to put it outside. I know the rest.
It's not gonna work.
So, I mean, that one's,
It's too much.
that's too much.
It's
We
too
received
much.
the estimates, and I just talked to Caleb. And the one estimate, the number 1 estimate for 684 does include a new RAM in it.
Which one?
The first one.
The first one, yeah.
I guess the reason I was asking that is, do we really need to consider leave it where it is, the size it is versus enlarging it? Is that really a big conversation or not?
I think enlarger might be a pretty fair issue, wouldn't it?
Well,
Well, it's still, a larger one still ain't gonna get your gurney, I don't think.
It isn't? Well, then
And-
there's no
and
sense of doing it.
how often does it happen?
Well,
That's the other thing. We talked to
I don't know.
the
whether-
ambulance people and, you know, they'll just have to, I mean, it's not like it's a 14-story building,
Right.
it's 1 flight of stairs.
But normally if you have a medical emergency, the fire department's gonna be there too,
Right.
along with the EMS
Yeah,
people.
that's a good point.
And, you know, if it's up on the top floor, you just carry the people down. That's how
Well,
we've always done it in the
If
past.
this is the way we're looking at it, then number 1 is the
I mean,
simplest. and
you look at
cheapest.
the bottom
Yeah.
dollars, you
Yeah.
know, 600,000,
Yeah.
over $1
Over
million
Yeah.
for option 2, $1.5 million for option 3, and option 4 is
Well, I think
2
the
million.
last 2 are out.
So we're really only looking at option 1 and option 3, because option 4 is not really possible, and option 2 is really not worth an increase from option 1.
I just
That's
do the first
true.
one.
Right.
Just have one.
I'd just stay with one if it's needed.
Well,
Yeah, we-
Andy, you wanna,
I mean,
you
unless-
advocate,
Right, I would like to have option 3, but I don't know whether, given the time frame that we've got,
and the money we've got.
right, the money we've got and the money we've got to spend, whether or not you can come up with enough local funds, people that would be interested. I've been contacted by a decent amount of people that are interested. Now, I don't know if they'll put their money where they're, you know, if they're not interested or not.
Another problem I have with 3 is the need for relocating offices.
One of them, I guess the one was upstairs.
The state's attorney would
No,
have,
state's attorney.
would have to be relocated.
The other
somewhere.
one is Angie's, the sheriff's office down there, and she's not using that now.
You know?
She is.
Yeah,
She is using
Yeah,
it. She
there's-
wasn't for a while,
Right,
correct?
but she is.
There's a lady in there, so I look every time I'm up there, there's always someone in there.
Because
Now,
I-
whether she could be relocated, I don't know.
I made the mistake of thinking that's where we could have the consulting room.
Right, no.
Boy, I touched a nerve there. No, you can't have that. Which
So-
is fine. I'm not,
So by doing that, you know, you're gonna have to move the state's attorney somewhere, and the only place, whether you move probation down, state's attorney over there, then that affects Augie's office.
you go one way, you go the other, you're affecting a couple of offices when
Yeah.
you do that. But, I mean, we do have room in the new place
That's what
Yeah.
for like
So,
probation.
yeah.
I don't think, am I correct, Augie, and not to put you on that, that you'd really rather stay where you're at?
That would be my preference, but I'll do, in the end, whatever we need to do to make it work. I mean, it's the
Probation would have to
will of the
probably
board.
stay in the
I
courthouse
Yeah.
would think so.
because of the court system and everything, but
Well, of course, the
basically you're
judges,
forcing him out to,
remember, the judges were willing to put them in another facility where it was, the judges themselves said they'd rather have them like at our current annex or their future annex. And that way it would make their, because of timing, and they can see people at different times and not bring them into the courthouse. But that was a long time ago. But, you know, then you've got all the expense of redoing a lot of different things. So,
yeah, I think with option 3, you'll end up higher than that because of all the other things you gotta do.
right.
And, you know, that's over $1 million difference.
Well, it's,
It's a little under.
700,000 versus 1.5.
Plus when you get all the other things.
Then you gotta
you're talking
add the-
$1 million difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably would be closer to million.
So the replacement on number 1 didn't do anything for restoration of the,
Oh, it just,
They were gonna do spruce things up.
right, that's
Yeah.
true, but I mean,
I mean, not total renovation, you know, back to the original, cause you can't because of
right.
the things there, but, you know, they talked about all some different things that they were gonna do.
Yeah.
As far as woodwork and glass and cleaning some of the glass and stuff
That's
like
true,
that.
yeah.
that is in 1.
Yes. Well, that's what they indicated when that day we were up there talking to them, yes.
So what's Core's deadline?
Well, they would have liked to have known before, so whenever we can. I said we'd schedule a talk this morning, and because there's a lot of work yet to do to refine.
That won't affect how the roof project at all. Okay.
Unless the roof comes in way over budget. I mean, I hope not.
We'll know this Thursday.
We'll have an idea where we're at, because there's different things. By the way, there is a sample of the metal for that we can take a look at. We've got, and then, well, we'll talk about that later, but they did find a red slate, one of the contractors did find a red slate that was available now. But
Did
he
you-
asked me if it was okay to let him go ahead and bid that, and I said, well, hell yes.
Yeah.
I mean, heck yes.
Did you see the picture that Michael had found somewhere? It's an old, actually it's an old postcard, and it's a colored postcard, but the whole, did you see it?
Yeah.
The whole roof, gutters, and everything appeared to be red in that.
Yeah, it was
postcard.
attractive. I couldn't find it again.
Well, I'll have to look it up.
and-
For some reason, every time I email Michael, it goes to somewhere else
Well-
out there, and I don't know where.
I'm not opposed to the elevator staying where it is as long as we can make it less ugly than it is now.
That's kind of hard to do, but.
Well, there's gotta be something that can be done, some trim or something that can at least make it
Well, we
less
had
like an
suggested-
ugly box.
We had suggested before also putting murals on one side of
I
it.
was gonna say, you could do that.
I mean, historically accurate,
Yeah.
you know. You know, Carl and I walking in the first time to be on the board, you know, so.
Yeah.
It was humor, Dan.
I'll laugh. It was an artificial laugh, I like it.
It sounded more like a grumble.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, anyway, but we had considered that for the basement. That is something that we really need to
There you
look
go.
at sooner or later, is that basement. 'Cause I don't know,
You walk.
looking at the basement and how unattractive that thing is.
Yeah,
And if that's gonna be
well, that's how everybody comes in.
the permanent entrance, yeah, there's really
Send that to
nothing
me.
that indicates
Can you
that's
send that
an
to me?
entrance other than the fact you can't get in the
You
other
send it to
doors.
yourself.
Well, maybe we should do one
Yeah,
of those
I hear
zigzag
that.
sidewalks going up to the, one of the doors.
There might be too much sensitive information in there.
That would be the, I mean, there's a number of things that we maybe should consider. Anyway.
Yeah,
But-
Biggs, that's our main entrance now through the,
Well, does anybody wanna take any action, or anybody
No,
think?
I think it's probably a good idea to see what happens on Thursday before you do anything.
Well, then we'll have to wait to give them an answer till
After
the
that.
8th,
Okay.
okay?
What do you think's gonna happen on Thursday?
We need to see where the money's at.
Or how much the bids are to do the roof. I mean, if they come in and they're $1 million over, over by a lot, well,
There's no sense to even,
right, consider anything else. They come in and they're under, which I doubt now.
Have to be a lot under, wouldn't
In
it, for
today's
us to
environment?
really change our minds?
It's a
Are the
jumping off
bids,
place.
excuse me, bids on a roof based on a metal roof or slate roof? Or
there's all
both?
kinds of alternatives.
Okay.
They're gonna take a week, once we receive the bids, and make a recommendation on how we could proceed and what it will cost. And remember, the general contractor, not general contractor, construction manager may even bid part of it. Like putting up the scaffolding, anything to hold down the costs, you see? So at any rate, we'll just have to see. And I don't wanna tell you what the bids were what they said, because we're on, don't wanna give any bid or any idea, so. All right, motion to adjourn. Andy moves, Russ seconds. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. We'll reconvene, that was a little faster than I thought, in about 9 minutes.
Explains it.
Okay, we're moving into study session. So, wanted to review the building grounds is having and the sheriff's committee is meeting on Thursday morning for the purposes of opening bids for the courthouse. John Tingley's gonna be there to do a review of the new annex roof. for the new annex work building. And then we're going to talk about communication systems for new jails and closed session for labor negotiations. So, at any rate, I just wanted to review that. Don't forget, tomorrow at 6 o'clock is that meeting at Memorial School on the cameras, security, what do they call those girls? What kind of?
Flock.
Flock.
Flock,
So those are things,
F-L-O-C-K.
things coming up. So,
Um,
yes, sir.
drug court,
Yeah, I have,
sometime the next day or two.
yeah, but we can't have a bunch of, I was gonna tell you, let's see, that's Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Hang on. I have to look. That's a Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock, okay? Courtroom 1. Okay, Andy?
Yeah, Ray called and asked me, he's been doing work down at have you talked to Ray at all? He's been doing some work down at the health department, and he asked me who pays for that?
Okay. Pam called down to them and asked them to tell them what they were gonna do, because she was gonna put her in a system
Okay,
for the health department paying for that.
okay,
As of the last I knew, they haven't called her yet.
okay. She had called them. They've always taken care of their own,
Right, they have a line item,
okay. Well,
and
that's
he was gonna be taken care of out of that line
what-
item.
Okay, okay,
They're just waiting, Pam's waiting to hear from Monica.
okay.
While you're giving your report, I'll just ask her if she's heard.
Okay.
She's here.
I haven't got much more.
You did?
I'll think of something.
Take over, Carl. You're next.
No, I'm not.
You're next in charge.
Mr. Ritter.
I don't have anything. I stopped by the shelter yesterday, I forgot it was a holiday, so wasn't anybody out there, so. Last time I talked to Andrew, everything's going fine, so. Other than that, no.
Are they filled up?
Oh, yeah,
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 Never not filled up.
never not fill up.
very, very seldom.
It's always nice when she does put something in the paper every.
Not a word
I don't know
yet.
if you see it or not.
She's gonna call him
Picture
when
of the
she
dog
gets,
and
she can.
information
And
about every week, so.
I
Probably
guess
helps a little.
he's
bit.
not clocking in and out, but we can correct that.
he needs to clock in.
But he's not, because
Okay.
she said until it's set up, he can't clock in or
Okay.
out.
I mean, in the past, they cover their own.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
well, they had somebody hired, I mean, he was actually
Well,
on
that's what
staff.
Right, when he asked me how we were gonna handle that, I thought, well, I just assumed it would be handled the way that you handled maintenance in the past.
Yeah, but I
So-
mean, since he's in 2 other departments, he's gonna be in 3 now.
Okay.
So he's gonna be paid out of security, he's gonna be paid out of their account, and then he's gonna be paid out of maintenance,
Okay.
our maintenance.
So I didn't know, as of when I talked to Monica at the health board meeting, because we talked about that at the meeting, and I said, I don't know where we are with that, but I knew that Ray had said that there was quite a bit to do there, and that he knew of someone who might be interested in coming
Right.
on as a second person, but that was the extent that I knew, so he's been there since last Wednesday.
Okay. Trying to think of when I talked to him.
Or you could call Monica on your way north and ask her how come she hasn't called Pam yet.
I don't know if I can read what Ray sent me. Maybe.
Or Jessica actually is who to sign it.
said, okay, we'll not take any.
I asked about it last week, and that's what Pam
It said, did you talk to Monica? She was concerned about the money for the maintenance coming out of her budget.
And she and I talked about that,
You did?
yeah.
Okay, well, maybe
If what she and I had talked about more was some of the differences between how you do things in ADP, which is what I know and what she knows, versus how you do it. So it was the mechanics, not the money
whether-
itself,
Okay,
yeah.
maybe,
Well, they just need to, instead of talking to you two, they need to go down to the,
And she needs to talk to Jessica.
yeah,
okay.
I mean, they need to talk to the people who can do
We'll
something
do
about
that,
it.
okay. Okay. Nope, that's it.
Diamond Brothers, sidewalk, parking, and easement. They're gonna be, the folks that own the easement or have that could give us easement, they're gonna talk to them and try to trade, well, do a
Trade
trade.
that.
Yeah,
For
Okay.
that piece of sidewalk there.
right. Okay,
Then we could go in and put parking there.
right.
Now, really, we might wanna consider what kind of a back door to put on that place then, shouldn't we?
Well, I thought we did, we were gonna put a regular key door
Yeah,
and, man, we were gonna put a camera back there.
okay,
But I thought if you were gonna let him know to put on a key door
okay.
and put
Yeah.
a secure,
A nice,
Metal
a decent
door.
entrance door back
Right.
there, okay.
right.
'Cause you're,
I thought we left it when you and Carl and Russ and I were out there.
So you're talking the west side?
It'd be the
That alley?
northwest corner.
yeah,
And then, Highway could help us with I've talked to Highway and they can help us.
with putting that curb in there and then parking back there.
Right.
Okay.
I talked to Jimmy about that broken and unlevel concrete out back too.
Yes, I know you did.
In the back where
In
it
the back.
slopes toward the building?
Right.
What'd he say?
He said that,
Pretty easy.
no big deal there.
No, I had talked to him right after we met and he
Okay.
said that wasn't a problem taking that
Yeah.
out.
I think that'd be
And then we
money well
could,
spent.
instead of putting, he suggested, I don't know whether he got that far, but he just thought we could oil and chip that over a halfway decent base instead of putting in concrete, and then we could slope that.
Away from the building.
Yeah,
You may need a concrete apron at the door or something.
I think
Right,
we'd probably
right.
put a concrete apron right there and then
Yeah.
I would put a, seam stuff in the crack there to keep that water from running down that wall. I don't think you'd have any water in the basement then. You get a little bit of leakage when it really rains, but shoot, it's going that way toward the building.
Mhm.
So, had John got, I had never heard the result of the roofing company.
We're ready to go.
You ready?
He's
Okay,
Tuesday, or Thursday, he's gonna come in and give us the pricing and everything
Pricing, I guess,
through
I-
that CHIPS program. They're ready to go, but I thought we ought to know what was going on before we said, yes, I don't have the figures.
did he say anything about Rowdy at all?
No.
Cause Rowdy said he had contacted John and they had a plan, but that's all I'd heard.
Oh, you can talk to John about that,
Okay, I'll find out.
all right?
Did you talk to that lady that owns that one property, those trees?
I haven't.
Had got ahold of her.
My wife, I've had trouble with her lately. Medical problems though.
Mhm.
It's amazing how some of that stuff can eat up your time.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's something that, once we know, we can maybe, talk to a tree company to get it effective, and that way safely, rather than having some of our staff do it and somebody getting hurt.
Yeah, 'cause on the south side, the trees on that other property are touching, or same as touching the roof, so
Yeah.
that needs to be gone before they put a new roof on.
And he talked like it wasn't, he didn't care what they cut down out of my backyard.
Well,
The guy I talked to,
Yeah,
no.
and that's the guy who owns that
Yeah.
building, so. Okay.
well, we can talk to John about that. I'm sure if it doesn't get done right this second, he can always trim something back
Right.
to make sure that the roof
Right.
is not in jeopardy. Okay. Daniel,
I gave my report while he was outside,
are you lying to me?
No, he's not.
I do have a contact for you, and I forgot to bring it. It's kinda like Make-A-Wish for pet food.
so, okay.
There's a company that, well, it's Purina, that handles all kinds of donations to
Okay.
different companies or reductions in costs.
Cost, yeah.
And you apply to the program, and I'll get it to Monica
Okay.
and you.
All right.
But it's a good source of
We-
protein for our animal friends.
I stopped out there yesterday, but I forgot it was holiday, so nobody's around.
People after about those repairs.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I've neither.
The cages?
Wait for the door,
Yeah,
I
some
think.
bottoms on the doors.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, yeah, no,
New.
that's on order.
Yeah, been on order for a
No,
long
the
time.
cages.
Oh, the
No,
cages.
Cages.
See, there's
the other
three
thing, too.
doors
Supposed
that
to,
are catered
right,
too.
yeah.
It's a different subject of
Right.
stuff.
They're supposed to go and hire somebody to do that, so we talked about that too. so,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got
In the
plenty of
works.
donations.
It's in the works, yeah. Got plenty of money in donations, so we can afford to do it.
Russ?
Have anything to add to what?
Okay. Carl?
Of course, I know it's Thursday, we've got discussion on the radio communications at the.
Hopefully that guy will be able to get here.
Which guy?
Well, the guy that is handling the communications now.
From
I don't know the name of it.
Central State, and that who?
We're talking about Brad Phillips, is that
Yeah,
your?
right. So, but I know
Radio.
if for some reason he isn't here, he's supposed to be here next Monday at the 911 meeting.
Okay.
So if he doesn't make it, we need to talk to him Monday because he's coming. He's supposed to be getting some information on a proposal for taking care of the southern part of the county, on paging and radio communication. So I was gonna contact him, or have Nanette contact him this week to see if we could set up a meeting for Monday morning before the 911 meeting.
Well, after we met with, he was
Right.
gonna try to get him.
I knew that
here on-
Ross was gonna contact him, but I didn't know whether Ross had got a hold of him, so.
And I went to talk to Ross this morning and he wasn't in yet,
Okay.
so.
So if for some reason he isn't able to make it
Just let us
Thursday,
know and we'll
then
just,
Monday, we can talk to him before the 911 meeting
Or-
about,
or afterwards. we'll
Yeah.
have to-
depends on how his schedule is,
Okay.
and talk about the new facility and make the whole thing work, so,
Yep.
that's
One way or the other, we need to talk to him.
right.
What time is that Thursday, Carl?
Yeah, you're gonna get a notice that that's at 10 o'clock on
10 o'clock?
Thursday.
Okay, so I can send Brad a message and ask that, be helpful.
Yeah.
Well, Ross was already doing that.
Ross
but
is,
that's-
okay.
But, I'll check right
Yeah.
now before we all.
We'll
look
get
at
back with you and see, we'll figure it out, either if we don't talk to him Thursday, then next
it.
Monday.
Right, we got it
But I
back.
know he's gonna be at the 1 o'clock at the 911 meeting.
Is it 1 o'clock, is that when it is?
All right.
I also called the bond council about funding and, the use of the tax money that we're getting, the safety tax money. And what's usable and what's not.
Okay, all right, yeah. What I brought up to you the other day. And they're gonna get an answer to you, or, okay,
In writing,
yeah, all right,
or anything not in writing.
all right, good. That's all I have, I can think of right now.
Blood? Lisa?
Yeah. Go on with health board. We met, had a productive meeting. I really like and appreciate Dr. Rico's style as board chair, which does not surprise me.
Good. That's
He-
refreshing.
He is sincere, he's level-headed, he's quiet how he does things. He he does a really nice job of summarizing and getting to the bottom of things. So he is just what we needed, what that group needs. We are still kind of working through with Bellwether the best and most effective way to have those meetings and how to run them so that we're through in an hour, and I think we're getting there. So we had a discussion on the bylaws. We did not, there's more to come, but just cleaning them up, making sure that they coexist with the state law. We approved the updated food sanitation ordinance, and it was just a little bit of language, nothing big.
You did update it? I thought you were gonna.
No, the food sanitation ordinance. Yeah, and there wasn't anything big on that. They did change one line to go along with the state law. So I anticipate Monica coming to our next study session.
Is that gonna be on the agenda for us to approve?
And I will remind her of that.
The reason I say that is, so if we don't do that, then that sets a precedent for us not doing it.
Can you send us a copy of it?
Have her to email me and I'll send that out, and then that way we'll make sure we get it on the agenda, if you don't mind, please.
Read the bill before we vote on the bill?
What a novel idea. At least it's not like, 3,000 pages.
Right.
We had, as one might imagine, a lot of conversation on the private sewage disposal system ordinance. And I think Scott has the best idea, and we talked about it out in the parking lot a little bit afterwards, that we need to get, and I'd like to be there if possible, we need to just get Monica and Marissa and those who install private sewage disposal systems, and Scott, and maybe me, in a room where we actually put it on a board, put down the issues and the concerns so that it's in writing, and approach this with a more level head. So, he does have some valid concerns.
Who's he?
You know.
Jason has some valid concerns,
I
but
heard
at
them all
this,
this morning.
but at the same time, he's not the only one. So it's not fair to make an ordinance based solely upon his input.
I'm just curious, who else is there that does that?
I have no idea.
I mean, I know a couple other companies, but I don't know that very many of them do much work here.
Probably not, but there's
Right.
gotta be somebody. And so but we need to have some workouts before the next board meeting, I think, on that one. And I had given Carl, just for his review, because I know he was very interested in it, the other ordinance that we looked at, that Marissa had done a lot of work and had contacted other counties. And that was what's that called?
Edgar County nuisance ordinance.
Yeah. And she had stated that we had recognized that there was definitely a need to beef that up. My concern is it's a little overreaching, and that when we get to the point where our board, the health board, is comfortable with it, I really think it needs to go to Tim Gilbert just to make sure it is within the bounds.
But exactly what, it's a nuisance ordinance.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Nuisance
It's-
of what?
What would be considered a nuisance?
Anything and everything somebody might consider a nuisance. So if you have,
That'd be a little,
You mean like
you got me,
garbage?
didn't you?
You mean like,
Did you see what I was like? And it says, because my first thing is, no. And it says, it gives an allowance for farming. I said, well, that's really broad. But there's a lot of language that we needed. Junk, a little more, what's the definition of junk?
Yeah, somebody jumped somebody else's tree.
Right.
This is all property nuisance.
Yes, it goes to property. You know, like animal
I think Dan's a
carcasses.
bit of a nuisance at times. I wanna know what the nuisance ordinance
That's what I'm
is.
saying, I mean, I can be considered a nuisance.
You know, and my statement during that was, I don't want to be too overreaching because, you know, we don't have zoning, and when we have had all of our conversation about wind and solar, our purpose isn't to necessarily prevent you from doing what you want on your ground, but to protect your neighbors. So it's a fine line.
Is she aware that we already have a nuisance ordinance?
And we passed it.
Yeah, I got it
Here,
right
our
here.
board, we have one.
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah. I know that's what,
because
I just scanned it, but there's a lot more
I would like to see it too.
than
I haven't
this.
seen it.
Cause
the
this
new
was,
one.
No,
Yeah.
they should be copying when
yeah.
the
Well,
board
and I
on
think
this.
because we haven't gotten very far on it, this is our first round, but if there's already,
What
can you
predicated this?
forward that to,
Absolutely.
Bellwether is having them look at every kind of document.
Yeah, I'm not
So-
sure. Is that what they really wanted?
Well, depends on who you want to regulate
Yeah.
that.
All right.
Well, and like Marissa said, you know, we've asked questions and we've discussed nuisance, and we had the issue with nuisance, and
We had, one of our biggest problems we've had over the years is noise nuisance from neighbor to neighbor. Remember that? When we had the guy that couldn't sleep, he worked a different shift, and the dog barked all day, and we couldn't help him. Worked for DOT,
Yeah. It's out of town too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But-
the other part of that, and I would stand corrected, and I'm not speaking for the health department, but as I recall, if your nuisance attracts varmints and unwanted animals that might wander off into the neighbor's yard and whatnot.
right, kind of the abandoned house kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or the garbage pile that has mice, rats, and God knows what else.
Right.
And I think those things, not so much, I don't think there's anything in the nuisance thing on the noise, but, you know, like you're talking the health issue, you know, with garbage and going to your next door neighbor and stuff, that's addressed here
Yeah.
in this. This was passed in 2010.
Okay.
Carl and I.
Yeah. I just run across this the other day when I was looking through stuff, but
Can you,
that's a
Augie,
whole
can you
lot
send
more.
that to Monica?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I just don't know why they're reinventing some of the wheels.
And I
whether-
don't know that she didn't know
Why
that.
you need
Um,
two?
Well,
Yeah,
no,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'm making a general thing
Yeah.
about, and I like, and we use, the company, I forgot. Bruce, Bellwether.
No,
I mean, that's fine and well and good, but I don't know.
Yeah. And there was a thing in here about, I don't see it at the moment, not allowing your grass to grow more than a foot. And I'm like, well, that's.
No,
There's
No,
the health
no.
department thing.
a lot of them are doing that now because of pollination and
Right.
attracting,
So,
like,
you know,
monarch
that can
butterflies
get
and
your
stuff
solar
like that,
farms
yeah.
into trouble
let's get
because,
back to this other ordinance that they're gonna be sending us. They're gonna modify, I mean, I think the board
Which
should
one?
know.
the food sanitation.
Yes,
or-
oh, no, the,
Oh,
sewer.
yeah,
and all that.
well,
I know you may not wanna talk about it
no,
too
that's
much,
okay.
but I think you
The,
need to understand that they don't wanna work after a certain time, and over the years,
Right,
a
right.
lot of folks have needed them at different
Right.
times, and, I mean, it'd be like Matt going, well, I don't wanna work after midnight, because I wanna spend, I mean, they know what their job is, and to say that they're not going to do something if it's needed, I'm sorry.
well, and so that's what we really need to have a conversation about, because when you really started asking Jason about it, he's like, well, I don't really have that many emergencies. And so we were saying, you know, but in the summer,
You know,
you're really only getting going at 4 o'clock in the afternoon sometimes. And so that is what our further conversation needs to be, but the only line in this that is causing the issue and the conversation is, they had added, and she says other counties do it, and I really don't care. Inspections shall be conducted within the scope of the environmental health department business hours.
That is a no-go for me.
Me,
Yeah.
That's, you can tell them that that's a no-go for this.
You can
I mean,
push it
do-
here and it's gonna go right back, just
Right.
like the
Do
other
they,
one did.
do they, I mean, they get paid overtime to go out and do that, don't
Yeah,
they?
and they also get paid, don't they get paid a visit? There's a visit fee that they get too, I believe. Or maybe that's what some of the other counties,
There
it's like,
is an inspection fee, yeah.
Right.
well, at any rate, I think other counties use it where, well, like if, the pet, Andrea, if she goes out there, she gets a, is it $25
I
or
forget, yeah,
$50 or
something like that,
something like
right.
that,
Yeah.
on top of her
Or regular salary.
regular salary that
Right.
she's being paid
You
for.
guys realize how many problems that we've come across with the health department in the last year?
Yeah, I mean,
Inconsistencies, and they're still there, and you on the board, just, you know, you're getting the winds of it.
That one?
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and you
What
know,
the heck is going on?
not that, again, not that I care a whole lot, but, you know, it's like, the meeting goes along and then I speak up. Like, no, I'm not gonna just sit there, no,
Well, that's
no,
why you're there.
yeah.
That's right.
So it is getting better, there is getting to be structure, there's getting to be flow, we have the right board chair. I think, Monica's getting the drift, getting into the flow of things. I think she's getting a better understanding of the county board's expectation.
It sounds like
There's
you've
still
had-
not as much conversation among members as I would like.
All right.
Because I feel like sometimes I'm doing a soliloquy and that's not what my intent was.
well, that's because that's the way it was handled for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Where
saying.
you had
give and
one or
take
two
now.
people making the call to shot.
Yeah, back then, when I was on, it, there wasn't no give and take. Now you have give and take among.
You were told that how the way it was gonna
All
be.
right,
Yeah.
all right.
I guess the board is supposed to direct them, and not them direct the board.
Right.
Yeah, and there's just not, still not enough of that, and so, I think that's the dynamic that's still missing. That brings me to my next point is, in discussing the bylaws, which we didn't make a decision, but in that we, need to have a mental health professional on there. And, Dr. Rico had suggested Dr. Fry, she is not a hospital employee. As anyone that knows her, she's passionate about it, whatever she does. My concern was her health, and he said it's really not any different than it has been. So that is one option. If you have Dr. Fry, you have access to a very broad picture because she knows the whole. I did mention it to Jonathan, I haven't talked to him since, if there was anyone else from HRC that he would recommend. So I do know that we need to get moving on that at some point, it's not critical, but until we get another person on there, we can be kinda close on whether or not we have a quorum.
Can it be a hospital employee?
Well, we don't,
Terry Ogle might be one that would be, can't be a hospital employee.
no, we'll just,
It could be.
it could be.
Well,
And
Ogle
Tara
might be
also,
good.
Tara has also, I don't know whether she still does also, but she was at HRC first.
Right.
The thing, you mentioned bylaws. I don't understand the bylaw concept. I mean, I understand it, but they put too much in it. They ruin their flexibility. For example, they have in the state law doesn't, that they have to have a pharmacist on there.
Right, and,
And if they go to put a mental health professional in there as part of the bylaw, I think that just, what happens in a couple of years when they wanna do something different because there's a new problem.
yeah,
I think if they put interested or demonstrated interest in public health would be what they should have on there, plus 2 doctors and a veterinary. a dentist. They tie themselves up and then they throw back over the years, they go, well, it's in our bylaws. And then I've gotta go, hey, I got state code here. That's what I go by.
Well, and I assume when they did all those bylaws, it was before there was as much language in the health law. I really don't know, of course.
It just seems like they're constantly overreaching.
Can't argue with you. What else do I want to tell you?
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
probably a terrible quote.
And the other thing is, Rodney Wolf is still finding his way. He brings a lot of value because he really understands how to run a governmental meeting and what the state laws are and what, he really brings a lot of value there. But he has a hard time with the fact that a lot has happened before he joined the board, and he's wanting to know it all now because he's that way, he wants to know everything. And I greatly appreciate that because he puts him on the spot sometimes too. But he's gonna make it, and he's gonna be a valuable member, and after every meeting, he calls me and asks me questions, so I thoroughly appreciate that about him. Moving on to broadband, I am so appreciative to Gary and all of the work that he has done on getting the survey, getting the language together, communicating with Nancy from the U of I, who's the one that's gonna compile the survey information, getting it out. Jeremy Larson said that he has worked with all the superintendents because they were also doing something about broadband and something else. Anyway, so he was pushing the survey to the superintendents and out that way, but I don't know whether that's gone out yet. Angie Garwood from Brulitz Creek Township is more than my right hand on this. She's doing all of the day-to-day and the busy work and we communicate constantly. Provider meetings are one of the next things, and in our last Thursday call, kind of touched on that. And Matt Sullivan, the farmer, took that one on. He's gonna chair that action, and he'll get Terry Sullivan in on it, and probably Ross and or Josh, but that's his domain, to get that figured out. We have scheduled that we are gonna have a meeting, it'll be at the Farm Bureau building on March 16th in the morning. I don't have a good feel for an agenda yet, but that's where we're gonna, the vision is that we will invite some industries, some businesses, the hospital, health department, whomever, to come in and understand what we're doing and how it can impact them and how they can help us. And I think we're gonna have a face-to-face committee meeting on March 2nd because I'm just really feeling the need, and we have a lot of people who are not participating in the calls for one reason or another. So, do you wanna add anything to that, Gary?
I had an email conversation with Nancy Esri from the extension who's handling the coordination of all the data. And she said Edgar County is by far in the lead of people returning surveys.
We took it passionately, and we kind of didn't listen to a couple of their Thursday calls because we're like, oh, we're already past that. We'd already made our plan. So that's good to hear, that they're actually doing it.
Yes, there's survey result, or people are filling them out, sending them in online. And the other concern I had with her is because I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, there was mention that paper surveys would be available for people who do not have access or inadequate access to do the survey online. And she said she got tied up with another project, but she said those paper surveys are coming.
Okay.
So eventually we will have them. We'll keep them there at the newspaper office for people to pick up.
Okay, good.
And you'll let people know when they're available?
I will.
Well, I'll make them.
We'll
put that out on Facebook and in the paper, yes, of course.
And Angie was sharing with me that some of the folks that, from our east side, they've taken it more than once because the first time, not necessarily hit enter more than once though, because they can't have enough broadband, enough juice to actually finish it. And some people have gone in just for their own knowledge because there's a point in the survey where you go out and you do your study to your access. And one day it was a 4 and the next day it was a 45. And so that's very interesting too. And then she's had some people who don't have enough juice to even get through the survey, so they need the paper.
That lady stopped by yesterday at the office
Okay.
wanting it because she said she was concerned that her internet connection won't last long enough for her to do the survey.
Yeah, there you go.
I took that survey, and I got to a point that says, test your speed, so I tested it, gave it to me, and then, so I went to X out of that, and then I was out of the survey. So I don't know if mine got submitted or not.
Okay, I don't know. I know we filled it out Sunday at home.
Did it ask you to test, do you wanna test your speed?
Yes, there's a link where you can go and it tested the download speed.
Yes.
And then there's another one that will test the upload speed. That link did not work. We went to another website that will figure your upload and download speed. We got the information from there and put it in the survey
Wow.
based on that. And I let the extension know that that link did not work, and they said they will check it out and see
Do
what's
you
going
have a
on.
place where you hit submit for your survey to be submitted? Because I never got to a submit point. I answered a lot of questions, got to that speed test, boom, I was gone.
Okay.
It threw me out completely of everything. So I don't know whether it got submitted or not.
Okay, I
But
don't know.
do you get to a point where at the end you submit?
Should have, shouldn't
And my wife filled it out.
See, I don't know either.
I know
My
there-
concern is it didn't
Yeah.
take because I never hit submit.
I know at the end of the survey, there's a field where you go in and put your comments. If you didn't get there, you probably
Yeah,
don't
if you
get
didn't
there.
get there, then you
I
probably
need to
had
start again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, that's another thing is, people who need this the worst are the ones who are gonna have the worst experience
Right.
and maybe not go all the way through and follow it through. But, it will be interesting to see the map, and we won't have that on the 16th because the survey doesn't close until the end of March.
31st.
31st of March. So it'll be interesting to see, and that map could be a little deceiving because, there's so limited population in the northwest part of the county. It may look like nobody did it, and it's really that there's nobody there.
14 people.
Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting. We still don't really, I don't have a real good feel for how this ends. Terry was saying that there is fiber along all the main highways and such. And so his value to this is he already has a lot of background, a lot of knowledge. He's been talking to quite a few of the folks in the ag department over at Lakeland, especially the word just escaped me, the GPS kind of guys.
Okay.
I just totally lost that word.
GIS, Geographical Information Systems.
Yeah, and there's the precision ag guys over there. So he's kind of doing his thing on the side, and then that knowledge will come to us as well. So,
Does the Barkley boy still, he works over there at Lakeland, he's involved in it?
Dyke, yeah, as far as I know he does.
Yeah.
So that's where we are on that. Those Thursday calls are informational, but it is hard to get our committee members to actually participate. There's a core of about 5 of us, 5 or 6, so that's where we are.
Questions? Bicentennial Committee is meeting again this coming week, Wednesday. We met for the first time as a group last Wednesday, and then we had 23 or 24 people show up. And we have tentatively The group has tentatively set the bicentennial celebration dates as April 13th through the 16th. That's as a group. We've divided up into committees. Jeremy Larson is on ads, and we're gonna nail down some of the ads and advertising that we're gonna be doing, little snippets here and there, hopefully. We've got another committee looking at donations and starting to reach out to businesses and industry for donations for supporting this committee and the programs. So it's really going pretty well. It's taken off, so that's another thing that's going on. Circling back to the Diamond Brothers building, and we may discuss this on Thursday morning, is, you know, obviously the side parking and easement, we need to keep up on the roof. Rowdy and the coordination with Rowdy, painting and hole filling as it goes, and then room assignments and the schematics and figuring out that how best to use that building is something that the committee needs to start supporting and looking at. Don and I talked this morning, they're moving ahead, and there is some communication now on payroll with, I can't remember. Harris, Paycom Harris, I'm trying to say them in the right order. There's still a little bit of work, but it's starting to come together. I go on. I talked to Caleb this morning, and he stated that Michael is very close to having the schematics ready to ship to them so they can start doing their cost estimating, so we have a handle on that. Josh stayed in communication on the sewer system that's gonna be connected out there. We're progressing on being annexed into the city, a number of parcels out this way, so that'll make it easier for the city to help us and do the things we need to do. So that's kind of where we're at. Sure I missed something, but the meetings seem to come rather rapidly right now, so. Anything?
Oh, I have one other thing. Jeff had forwarded, and Augie had forwarded to me, contact from WAND News wanting to do an interview on the broadband project, and I did respond Sunday and I haven't heard back.
Anything else to come before the meeting this morning? Are you just here to look, Matt, or did you need to tell us or talk to us about anything?
No.
Augie, do you? Okay. Augie?
Well, two things. Number one, just back to the agenda for a point of clarification, we need to call for public comment in this meeting. You did
Already
last
did.
meeting.
Oh,
You gonna do
okay,
that?
yes, I did, I thought I did.
Okay. And then Thursday's a busy day for everybody, but it also is the first day for early voting for the
Jeez.
April 4th election, believe it or not. It's starting in already.
Any questions of Augie? Is there any public comment for this meeting? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Andy moves, Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
That proposed,
Ask your question.
that ordinance on nuisance ordinance